Welcome to The Explainer. And look, if you think your family has drama, just wait. Today, we're diving into the original dysfunctional family, the one that literally gave birth to the Olympian gods. We're talking about a story of power, paranoia, and rebellion that shaped, well, everything.
So how do you become king of the gods? Great question, right? Well, the answer? It's not pretty. It's a mix of some serious betrayal, an all-out cosmic war, and this brutal cycle of violence that gets passed down from father to son, starting at the very beginning of time. All right, let's get into it.
All right, so where does all this start? Well, literally with nothing. Before anything else, there was just chaos. Imagine this dense, formless void. And from that nothingness, the very first ruler of the universe pops into existence. Uranus, the sky.
So Uranus gets together with Gaia, that's the Earth, and they have the first generation of gods, the Titans. You'd think he'd be a proud dad, right? Nope, not at all. He had all this incredible power, but he was completely haunted by this one single fear, that one of his super powerful kids would eventually come for his throne.
And his solution to this problem is, well, it's something else. Instead of, being a good dad or winning their loyalty, he just goes full-on tyrant. He actually shoves his own children deep inside the earth and just leaves them there. He thought he was locking away the threat for good, but really, all he did was sow the seeds for some major resentment.
And you know how these stories go, right? The prophecy, the thing you're so scared of, it has a funny way of coming true because of what you do to stop it. Uranus's cruelty didn't save him. Oh no. It basically guaranteed his downfall by creating the exact monster he was terrified of.
Yeah, so with a little encouragement from his mom Gaia, the youngest and toughest of the Titans, a guy named Cronus decides he's had enough. He rises up, ambushes his dad, and, well, it's not a pretty picture. He takes the throne for himself, and just like that, the Age of the Titans begins.
But here's the thing. Along with the crown, he kind of inherited his dad's paranoia. That same fear of being overthrown started to poison his rule, just like it did for Uranus. So to stop the cycle, he starts a new one, a way more horrific one. Every time his wife, Rhea, had a baby, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, Demeter, he just swallowed them whole.
So Cronus thinks he's got it all figured out, that his power is totally secure. But his wife, Rhea, she's had it. She can't stand to lose another child. So she comes up with a plan to hide their sixth baby. And in doing so, she basically sets the stage for an all-out cosmic war. And that kid, you guessed it, his name was Zeus.
So Zeus grows up in secret on this island, raised by nymphs, becoming seriously powerful and super cunning. And when the time is right, he puts this genius plan into action. He tricks his dad Kronos into drinking this special little cocktail, which forces him to throw up all his other kids. And they don't come out as babies, oh no. They come out fully grown and absolutely ready to fight.
And what happens next is what's known as the Titanomachy, the War of the Titans. And look, this was no weekend skirmish. We're talking about a 10-year-long war that literally shook the foundations of the universe. It was Zeus and his newly freed siblings against their dad and the entire old squadron of Titans. The prize? Control of, well, everything.
And this is it, the final, brutal transfer of power. Of course, Zeus and the Olympians, they win. They take the defeated Titans and chuck them down into Tartarus, which is basically this super dark pit deep in the underworld. And with that, they set up shop on Mount Olympus, establishing their rule for all time. The cycle from father to son to grandson was finally complete.
Okay, so the gods' massive family feud is finally over. You'd think it's time for some peace and quiet, right? Wrong. A whole new conflict starts brewing, but this time it's between the all-powerful gods on their mountain and this new, kind of fragile race of humans down on Earth.
See, Zeus and most of the Olympians, they really couldn't care less about these weak little mortals. But the Titan Prometheus, he was actually one of the few Titans who sided with Zeus in the war. He saw things differently. He actually felt sorry for humans, just, shivering in the dark. He thought they had potential. So he decided he was going to do something about it.
So in this huge act of defiance, Prometheus sneaks up to Mount Olympus, goes into the workshop of Hephaestus, the god of the forge, and steals fire. And he gives it to humans. Now you gotta understand, this wasn't just about staying warm. Fire meant everything. It meant tools, technology, art. It was the spark that ignited human civilization.
Zeus, oh, he was absolutely furious. This wasn't just theft in his eyes, it was a direct challenge to his authority. And for that, the punishment had to be severe. He had Prometheus chained to a mountain, where every single day an eagle would come and eat his liver. And because he's immortal, it would just grow back every night, so the whole horrible thing could start all over again the next day. For decades.
But Zeus's revenge tour wasn't over. It wasn't enough to just punish Prometheus. He also came up with this really sneaky, kind of twisted punishment for the humans who actually accepted the stolen gift. So he ordered the creation of Pandora, the very first woman, and all the gods chipped in with a gift. Aphrodite gave her beauty, Hermes gave her cunning, you get the picture. Then, Zeus sends her down to Prometheus's brother, Epimetheus, with this sealed jar, and he gives them one single, very serious warning. Whatever you do, do not open that jar.
Yeah, but curiosity, right? It's a powerful thing. Pandora just couldn't resist taking a peek. And the moment she opened that jar, bam, out flew every bad thing you can possibly imagine. All the evils that still mess with us today. Sickness, war, hatred, death. They just swarmed out and covered the earth.
So there you have it. The whole cosmic order was basically born from chaos and a really, really bad father-son-grandson relationship. And the gods' relationship with humanity? It didn't start with a blessing. It started with a stolen gift and a terrible curse. Just as Pandora slammed the lid of the jar shut, she trapped one last thing inside: hope. And that just leaves us with this one final, nagging question. In a world that the gods themselves filled with misery, is hope a genuine gift, or is it the cruelest curse of them all?